computer. Okay, so firstly, a big welcome to May Wine Month 2024. And today's obviously the first session on the 1st of May. I just wanted to kind of talk through the month first and give you an overview of how the month will look like. So hopefully some of you have had a chance to look and watch the introductory video that went out on 4th today and via email. So if you haven't watched that, have a watch and share it with your teams just so they can get an understanding of the principle of May Wine Month this year. So the theme is France. Obviously, last month the theme was terroir. So we were focusing all around the sense of place from different wineries from around the world, around the wine making world. But today is specific. Sorry, this month, this year is specific around France. So what we've done is we've broken the month down into 5 separate themes, 5 separate weeks. And this first week, just being the first 3 days of the month, is Alsace. Next week is Burgundy. The week after is the Loire Valley. The week commencing the 20th of May is Bordeaux, and the last week of the month is the Rhone Valley in the south of France. So each of these weeks, the first session of that week, like today, will be a short kind of theory session around that wine growing region. And then the tastings, the sessions that we'll have with the producers for the rest of the month.
What is that? Why is this so loud? There's another table there, isn't it?
Can you mute yourself, whoever DGM is? That'd be great. So yeah, the rest of the sessions within that week are sessions with the producers that we feature from those regions. So hopefully that makes sense. The theory sessions are designed to be fairly short, high-level theoretical sessions. So we're not going to get into super detail today on the complexities of Alsace, but we are going to give a high-level introduction to the region of Alsace. Once again, if you're not already on mute, if you could mute yourself, that would be much appreciated. So today, the 1st of May, is an introduction to Alsace. So in each of these introduction sessions, we're going to keep the format and flow of these sessions consistent. So it gives a really nice kind of clarity in these introduction sessions. We're first going to be talking about location. Where is that wine region within France, and help you orientate yourself around its climatical impacts due to mountains, rivers, etc. Then what are the varieties, the principal varieties that are grown in each of these wine growing regions? Then we'll look at some key facts around the wine region itself, and these are sort of summary facts, so the sort of high level facts of that wine region. And then we'll have a look at which wines we list and which producers we work with and collaborate with from that wine growing region. So as I said, today is all about Alsace, an introduction to the wine growing region of Alsace. And I'm sure a lot of you know this already, but where is Alsace? So Alsace, and you'll see this map on each of the introductory sessions that we do. Alsace is in the northeast of France. So here where I'm circling on the map there. And it's an area that over the generations has been moved between French and German rule a number of times. And it was only really after the Second World War that it was deemed a wine growing region under French law, French appellation. In terms of the climatic impact and due to the geography of the location, Alsace is very much trapped in between the mountain range on the left of Alsace here, which is Vosges, the Vosges mountain range, and the River Rhine, which is on the right-hand side of Alsace. So the mountain range on the west, the left-hand side of the image here, and the River Rhine on the east, which is the right-hand side of the river here. So as you can see from this map here, it's a thin, long wine growing region strip that runs north to south, and the furthest northern parts of Alsace are just slightly further north than Strasbourg. And the furthest southern area of the wine growing region is pretty much level with Mulhouse, which is the bottom there. And these are both cities within France, Mulhouse being just a little bit further north than Basel. So north to south is approximately 140 kilometers long as a wine growing region. But as you can see from the image, it's only a few kilometers wide east to west. There is you may have heard of it, there's the Alsace Trail, which is effectively a tourist trail that you can cycle or walk, and that runs 170 kilometers from north to south in Alsace. So as wine growing regions go within France, this is very far east, and it's very Germanic in its culture, in the language, in the names of not just towns, places, villages, but also the wine growing industry as well, from the varieties and other influences. We'll come on to the vineyard and the Grand Cru differences in just a moment. The other thing that's worth mentioning, which is very much an impact of the style of wines that was made in Alsace, is that the mountain range here creates a very dry climate on the east of the mountain. So if you go west of the Vosges mountain range, it's a very wet area of France. But on the east side of that mountain range, basically the mountain forces any moisture to be dumped on the east side of the mountain range. So when it comes over towards Germany, you end up with this much drier climate. So Alsace, albeit it's fairly far north in France, it's actually quite a dry wine growing region and has a very long, prolonged autumn, which really has an impact on the styles of wine that you see coming from this wine growing region. So hopefully that helps orientate where Alsace is in France. Just some key facts around the wine growing region. So firstly, it's a younger wine growing region in terms of its AOC, its Appellation Contrôlée laws and restrictions. We'll touch on that in just a moment. But there are 3 AOCs within Alsace. There's the main Alsace AOC. There is Alsace Grand Cru, and there's Crémant d'Alsace, which makes sparkling wines. And actually, sparkling wine production in Alsace is a fairly large percentage of its production, but the majority of Alsatian sparkling wines is sold domestically or within that area of Europe. So we don't see many Alsatian sparkling wines sold over in the UK. The majority of the wines that we'll see in the UK from Alsace are Alsace AOC or Alsace Grand Cru. Just I made a comment there. So Alsatian. So if a wine is produced in the region of Alsace, it is referred to as an Alsatian wine, which can get a bit confusing when in the UK that's obviously a dog. Alsace AOC was created in 1962. So as I said, after the Second World War, when Alsace as a wine growing region was marked as French territory and French wine growing region. And the AOC covers about 70% of the production in the region. So the largest volume of wines coming out of Alsace are Alsace AOC wines. So Alsatian wines that conform to the laws and restrictions of the Appellation Contrôlée of Alsace. Alsace Grand Cru wasn't created until later in 1975, and 51 localities are listed as Grand Cru within the Alsace wine growing region. So that means that 51 towns or marked areas of the Alsace wine growing region, localities, have been given Grand Cru status. That means they are able to legally produce wines under the Alsace Grand Cru AOC. And that means that they can label and sell their wines as Grand Cru wines from the region of Alsace. Within the Grand Cru area, the wine varieties are restricted to the noble varieties, which is Riesling, Muscat, Pinot Gris, and Gewürztraminer. That's not 100% accurate. There are now more wine varieties that can be included within the Grand Cru areas, but the majority of wines that are made as Grand Cru from Alsace are from these 4 noble varieties. And up until recently, blending grape varieties under the Grand Cru status was not permitted. So if you had a Grand Cru Alsatian wine, it had to be single variety from one of the noble varieties of Alsace. As I said, that has changed more recently, but historically that's how the Grand Cru status worked. The vineyards in total cover some 16,000 hectares. So as wine regions go, it is not the largest of wine growing regions. It's as you can see by the map, whilst it's quite a long north to south region, it's quite thin geographically. So it's not a huge wine growing region. 90% of Alsatian wines or wines from Alsace are white wines. And the region is the only French AOC that are allowed to put varieties on their front labels. So, if we think about, other AOCs within the Greater France, so, Chablis on Sancerre, you won't see Chablis and Chardonnay with the Chardonnay varietal detailed on the front of that label. Whereas in Alsace, the wines are often sold with the variety as that sort of headline piece on that front label, and we'll look at a couple of those a little bit later on. Stylistically, as in what style of wines do we tend to see from Alsace? Alsace tend to make aromatic wines, wines that are floral, and wines that have a kind of spicy note to them. Wines from Alsace tend to be relatively high in alcohol. So we get wines that just have got a little bit more body, a little bit more character to them, but they're slightly more, wines with, profile and personality. They're, not your kind of, easy to drink, high acidity and, medium to low alcohol wines that, are often very fashionable around the world. These wines from Alsace have personality, have character, and as I said, are often, quite aromatic, quite spicy, and quite floral on their nose. So that's some key facts around wines from Alsace and Alsace overall. Now, there are 6 white grape varieties that are allowed to be planted in Alsace. There's actually a couple more that are planted in very, very small amounts, but the 6 principal white grapes of Alsace are Riesling, Sylvaner, Pinot Blanc, Muscat d'Alsace, Pinot Gris, and Gewürztraminer. Notice the French spelling of the Gewürztraminer doesn't have the double dots above. That is the German spelling for spice, whereas the grape variety from France does not have the double dots across. Just a quick touch on these varieties. Obviously, the ones that we would know most commonly would be Riesling, Pinot Gris, and Gewürztraminer. So what you may notice on this photo is the color of the grapes in the Pinot Gris photo there. So Pinot Gris does look very much like, especially at the later end of its harvest, it looks very sort of gray, almost reddish color on the vine. So Pinot Gris does go slightly red before it's harvested, but it is classed as a white wine. And you don't make red wines from Pinot Gris. So just to touch on these very briefly, Riesling, we've got a number of Rieslings on the list. From different areas of the world, not just Alsace. Riesling is one of the top widely planted grape varieties in Alsace, and it's a very popular wine, both New World and Old World, and makes a real contrasting range of styles of wine. A lot of the wines that come out of Alsace are noble wines or botrytis wines, especially wines from Riesling, Pinot Blanc, and Gewürztraminer, which make fantastic dessert style wines. Sylvaner isn't planted in huge acreage, as is Muscat d'Alsace. They're both quite small plantings in the Alsace region, and Sylvaner as a grape variety has very similar characteristics to Gewürztraminer, just slightly less pronounced. So it's not as full-bodied, it's not as spicy, it's not as floral as Gewürztraminer, but it is a very similar characteristic. So whilst there are 3 other white grape varieties that are planted in Alsace in very small percentages, these are the 6 predominant white grape varieties of the Alsace region. There's just one black grape variety of Alsace, and that's Pinot Noir. Because of the climate of Alsace, and the average temperature, rainfall, etc., Pinot Noir makes a very different style of wine in Alsace as it does to somewhere like Burgundy. A lot lighter styles. Wine, the style of Pinot Noir that is made in Alsace is more lends itself more to rosé wines rather than red burgundies as such. But Alsace are very proud of their Pinot Noirs, but they're a very unique style of Pinot. Like I said, very light compared to Pinot Noirs from elsewhere in the wine growing world. I thought this diagram is really useful. So there's a lot going on here, but let me just talk through it. So as we've already said, 90% of the wine production, the grapes grown in Alsace are white grapes. And as you can see here, Pinot Noir, which is the only black grape of Alsace, just makes up 10% of the total production of wine within Alsace. The 4 grape varieties here, with Riesling just taking the lead there, are the 4 most widely planted varieties of Alsace. So that's the Riesling, the Pinot Blanc, Gewürztraminer, and Pinot Gris. And as you can see, and as I mentioned earlier, Sylvaner and Muscat to Alsace are quite small percentages. And as I also mentioned, you've got this very small percentage here of other grape varieties, including Chardonnay. But as I said, they are not the core grape varieties of the Alsace region. What's also really useful here is this pie chart at the top right here. So this shows that nearly a quarter of Alsace production is the sparkling wine. Cremant d'Alsace, AOC, makes up nearly a quarter of the wine volume produced out of Alsace. And then clearly over 2/3 of the wine production of Alsace is the Alsace AOC, the core wines from Alsace, with the Grand Cru wines from those 51 crus making up just a small percentage at the on there. It would be fair to say that these Grand Cru wines are the top end of the Alsace production. So our list. We have 2 wines on the core list from Alsace. We have a Riesling from Trimbach, and we have a Gewürztraminer from Hugel. And if we look at the labels there, I bring them both up on screen. There's Trimbach and there's Hugel. We're going to hear from both these guys tomorrow and the day after, and they may tell you the story around colors. And it looks like, legally Alsace has these restrictions over this yellow color in the labeling. Actually, that's not true. It's just that, not the case, sorry, but there are stories behind the color of yellow that comes through both these producers. They're both family wineries in Alsace, and we'll have a look at where they're based in just a moment. And they've been producing wines in these regions for many, many generations, and I'm sure they'll talk to you more about their family's history on the sessions later this week. What you will notice here is both these wines take the typical Alsatian bottle in terms of shape and size, a flat bottom and a long, thin Alsatian bottle. So typically when you see a bottle of wine that's in an Alsatian bottle, it would note either a wine from Alsace or a style or variety that's known for being from Alsace. So for example, our Riesling that's from the New World is in a similar design of bottle to signify that it's an Alsatian varietal. These are both AOC wines. So it does, as you can see at the top there on the Alsace, but on the Trimbach label, it does says Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée based on the Alsace AOC. But both these wines are AOC wines. Both single varieties, as I've said, the Trimbach's the Riesling, the Hugel is the Gewürztraminer. And as I've also alluded to, despite the fact that these are from AOC producing regions of France, they have the grape variety on the front label, which is not something you see from other AOCs. Last couple of slides. So this is a bit of a zoomed in area of the Alsatian wine growing region. Again, you've got your Strasbourg in the top corner there, the River Rhine running down north to south, Mulhouse in the south. Obviously, got the wine growing region on the left here. And I'm just showing you now where the 2 wineries that we work with are located. So Trimbach is in Ribbonview. Just a little photo of Trimbach there. So the winery, this is the winery here that starts here and it goes to the right here. and that's on the edge of Ribbonview town. And then what you can see just behind the house there is vines, and these are some of the vines of Trimbach. They look after quite a large acreage in total, owned and bought. So obviously this isn't their entire production, but it's just to signify that, you know, whilst it is in the town, the winery is on the edge of that town, literally the other side of that wall. Are the wineries, so as close, sorry, the vineyards as close to the winery as that. Hugel's a little bit different. It's based in Riquy, which is a little bit further south, but very short distance apart. And their winery is based in the center of that town. So the grapes are, during harvest time, the grapes are brought in by tractor and trailer through the streets of the town to reach the winery of Hugel. And you know, very similar sized towns. You know, both very historic, very you know, fascinating to visit. But as you can see, you know, they really kept character and charm in this beautiful winemaking area of the world. So just wrapping up there. So today's session was to give you an overview of the wine growing region of Alsace and to talk about the 2 wines that we listed on the Hotel de Van core list from Alsace, Trimbach and Hugel. Trimbach, Riesling, Hugel, Gewürztraminer. And at the same time, 3 o'clock tomorrow, we have someone from Trimbach, one of the family members from Trimbach, giving us a session. And then on Friday, the same 3 o'clock, short introduction to Hugel to talk about Hugel as a family and a wine producing family, but also the Gewürztraminer that we feature on the Hotel de Van list. Guys, I hope you found that a useful introduction. I am going to open the floor if there's any questions. I will stop the screen there. Oh, Erin's on the call. Is there anything I missed, Erin? Or Nick or anyone? Was that a good overview of Alsace?
Yes.
Okay, good. Claire, you can get back to your point.
Thanks, Richard.
Guys, I hope you found that useful. It was just, like I said, the aim of these introductory sessions is to do exactly what we've just done today. We'll run through place, location, climate, laws, and the wines that we feature on the Hotel de Van core list from those wine growing regions. So, if you do have questions as we go through the month, Alsace is a smaller region. We only have 2 wines from it, so there's a little bit less information to cover. But the aim of these sessions, as you know, is to keep them under the half an hour mark. So we never want these sessions to run over more than half an hour, so that we can keep them fresh and frequent within your day, and we can keep drip feed small amounts of wine education into the team across the month. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Hope you found it a useful session, and I hope many of you will join us tomorrow at 3 o'clock for Trimbach.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.